It's time for ACC Central, presented by Just Means Less.
I drive into right. It's enough. It's back. And it's gone for the cycle. It's a walk-off grand slam. Florida State wins it.
Hosted by Monty Taylor.
In the air, center field. Moore is under it. And on to Omaha for the Cardinals.
Micah Butel.
Line ball driven into left field. Smith, does he do it? He does! A walk-off homer by Ken Smith.
And Nick Dioli.
First pitch. He squares. Gets it down. Here comes Mac. He is safe. And Boston College wins.
Fastball off the plate for 2 balls, 2 strikes. Monty just got landed on.
There are 2 pigeons roosting right above me, and my can of Pepsi.
Smacked into right field. And
Welcome back, college baseball fans, specifically ACC fans, specifically NC State Wolfpack fans. I'm joined by Nick Dioli, who for some reason is in the middle, and Micah Butel, who's on the end wearing the white snarling wolf. Not the slobbering wolf, though. There's been some controversy over the last couple of weeks regarding that logo.
Yeah.
How we doing today, guys?
Wolf. I'm great. Pack.
I have my emotional support can of Skyline Chili, so I'm doing great.
I don't think anyone in the world has ever said that sentence before. I have my can.
We're not even doing Louisville.
I'm doing great.
We're not even doing anything Cincinnati related, but I shared my emotional support Skyline Chili can.
Oh my god.
And I've broken Micah right off the bat, pun intended.
I'm crying. Like that's I'm out of pocket things on this show. And that might have topped it.
Dude just has the can in it. Like, are you in your
Especially considering what measures.
Bedroom? Where are you?
Nick,
I'm in my office.
Nick.
It goes with me everywhere.
Nick, the funniest part is the measures that we went through last year where we were like scrapping and clawing to get into the Louisville Skyline Chili after making an appearance at Jim Patterson, where I spent way too much time talking to them. And Monty's like, we got to get the Skyline. And so it's just, oh, Monty, I need another Skyline date with you. Gosh.
I mean, we found out they had the burritos now.
Oh.
Remember you got one? It was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, did you get one or did Hayden get? Somebody got one and they were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So shout out to Hayden.
Anyways, I am now incredible. I was good, but now I'm incredible after Monty, I'm not going to lie to you. I saw you pick a can up. I thought you were about to slurp Skyline Chili. I was like, what is happening right now?
That's what I was
off the rails, but we're not that off the rails. But no, I mean, NC State, man, we've had some fun. Obviously, we talked North Carolina yesterday, so that was fun. But it's going to be there's another team that is knocking on Omaha's door, and obviously, if this is a program that is going to be in the hunt every year. So I know I'm excited to get into it.
I'm not going to lie. I went into an interview with Chris McHugh in the fall, and I wasn't super high on NC State going into it. But talking to Chris and going over some of the roster, and the more I looked at it, the more I thought about it, I was sold on it. And he ended up being right. And I think Nick is kind of where I was in the fall. He's not exactly as optimistic as he should be being an NC State fan, especially when you kind of look at the departures here, right? You lost a lot of guys. Fritton. Obviously, Van Dam came on at the end of the year, didn't really have that much of an impact on last year's squad. But Schaffner, the closer, Willetson and Smith didn't really have much of an impact. But DeCrisio, Hogue, Sosa, those were big time guys. They tell Hebner to transfer, but then they lose their other two third base options in Ryder Woodson and Ryan Jaros. Obviously, Jackson Lucas and Camden Winbish were two really talented pitchers that transferred. And you know, for a 2 seed that didn't quite live up to expectations, things aren't looking great. But let's take a look at some of these newcomers. They didn't have a ton of power in the lineup last year, but then you bring in Dalton Bargo, you bring in an uber dynamic infielder in Sherman Johnson, you bring in highly touted recruit Mikey Ryan from LSU, veteran presence Wyatt Pfeiffer from JMU, another highly touted former recruit in Andrew Wiggins, and then you bring in some key arms, Collins Black, who is set to be a big-time breakout candidate, and Ryder Garino, who had a really good year at South Carolina. And then you look at the returners, which we'll get into, and all of a sudden things are looking a little bit better here for NC State. Nick, we'll start with you talking about this NC State team. Let's really quickly talk about the departures, because I know there's some guys that you would like to have an opinion on and say goodbye to.
Yeah, I mean, what jumps off the page, I mean, obviously Dom Frinton was huge. I think he really grew into his own. I think he did a really good job capping off his career at NC State. Obviously, Alex Sosa is a big hurt. Him transferring to Miami. I think we all kind of saw that coming when we were in Omaha. Where was Alex Sosa going to go? And I think we all just kind of knew he was going to go back somewhere in the state of Florida, and I figured it would have been Miami. But I think the biggest miss, who I was really excited to have back next year or this coming year, that I think would have been huge, it was Ryan Jaros. I mean, this was a kid that was going to be pretty much, hopefully, the next Alec Makarevich in terms of power and kind of like have a power bat. But yeah, Jaros, I think, is going to be a big miss for NC State. But we'll see who they're going to replace him with, because there is one guy I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Ryan Jaros, friend of the program. We hope he does fantastic at Rutgers, has a big-time year in his draft year. Just didn't quite work out at NC State or Georgia Tech the year before that. But Micah, what's the guy that you're kind of circling as the guy that you're, I don't know, maybe going to miss, because you're not necessarily an NC State fan, but you know, the guy that's going to be missed by NC State the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ryan Jaros was going to be my pick. Monty, and this is a wonderful plug again, the Diamond Report, a great opportunity to learn not just about the ACC. Obviously, our guy Monty held down the ACC side, 2 pages of every single team. So if you want to learn more about every ACC team, great read. But if you want to learn more about every Big Ten team, which I'm kind of referring to here, great read as well. It's funny when in the Diamond Report they talk about, you know, newcomer of the year in every conference, not just the Big Ten. Right. But there was a legitimate debate between 2 NC State transfers. Ryan Jaros obviously ended up winning that. No spoilers, but he was the Big Ten newcomer of the year in our Diamond Report magazine. But Matt Austin-Fort is another key piece going to Michigan. He's going to be, again, a loss, I think. Again, right, you replace him with Dalton Bargo. So I think you don't necessarily take a huge step back, if maybe even take a step forward. But that's another piece. I think I was looking forward to kind of seeing what he was going to lead into 2026 at NC State. Selfishly, I talked about him last year, Jack Gillum, who transferred to Utah. I just liked his upside that I saw during his time in the Appy League. Excited that I might get to see him at Utah. Monty has disappeared from the screen, so that's going to be wonderful if he's not gone. But anyways, like, really excited to kind of see what NC State brings to the table, you know, obviously from that departure standpoint. But, you know, when you talk about bringing pieces in, obviously Dalton Bargo is probably the household name that everyone knows. But, you know, again, Mikey Ryan, Monty kind of alluded to it. I got to add Monty back to the stage. He's having some issues tonight, but that's not on Monty. It's just on society. But Mikey Ryan Monty alluded to it. Absolutely incredible recruit coming out of high school. Didn't do a lot, obviously, last year at LSU. Was tucked on a bench with, and they won the national championship. So that was a star-studded team down there in Baton Rouge. I think Mikey Ryan could be an absolute stud for NC State and could be a name that we're talking about if he obviously were to stick around next year, which knock on wood, hopefully he would, right? You know, could be a first team all ACC type of shortstop, you know, maybe not this year, but he's got the skill set that like talk about newcomer of the year in the ACC. I mean, he's not my pick, but he's, I mean, I watched some of his high school stuff because again, you see LSU transfer and you're like, okay, I don't know who he is because he didn't play much at LSU. What his potential is. And I mean, he is a raw talent, very, very sound defensively, physical, like a pretty solid physical specimen too. Like I really like what Mikey Ryan could potentially be at short for NC State.
It's interesting you bring that up because, like, you're like, oh, he didn't play much at LSU, but you can see where LSU tried to give him playing time. That tells you a lot in and of itself, right?
Right.
You'll see that with a number of these transfers into the ACC. I think Bryce Clavon, who's transferring from Georgia to Clemson, is another guy who, you know, you look at, and that was somebody that you could tell Georgia tried to get some playing time. But yeah, Mikey Ryan is electric and looked really good in the fall games that I saw. I mean, one of them is still available if you want to go watch NC State's fall performance against Wake Forest. That is available on the Fredericksburg Nats website. They aired that live on YouTube, and you can still watch it there. But Nick, did you get a chance to highlight somebody that you're excited about in the newcomer range?
No, but I will. I will like to say that's a great pick from Micah because I remember talking to our guy Alex from CBC, or when he used to work for CBC, asking about like Alex is an LSU guy, went to the World Series because of LSU. I remember asking him, tell me about this Mikey Ryan. And he said, look, lots of potential, just didn't see enough playing time and he's going to thrive. So I got pretty excited when he was telling me about him last year up in Omaha, or when we got back from Omaha. But the kid I'm really looking forward to is Sherman Johnson, the JUCO transfer. Wasn't he at what?
I wrote about him in my underrated transfers.
Yeah, I mean, he was what was he not a no, never mind. I thought he was an Arkansas recruit, but
I think he was.
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah.
I think he was.
He really excites me, man. I mean, State has been missing a power bat, and I feel like they didn't really have like an identity last year. Last year, after the big sweep against Clemson, it just kind of fell off, and you know there wasn't a power bat like last year. Or 2 years ago, you really relied on Makarevich and Pennington, and your two cornerstone guys. This year, you have Chris McHugh coming back, and you've got Sherman Johnson, who you know could be playing third base as well, along with Wyatt Pfeiffer. But Sherman Johnson really excites me. I love his stats coming out of JUCO.
Yeah, we're going to get into the lineup, which is a little bit more where I think the question marks might be. But let's first talk about a strength of the NC State team, and that's the pitching staff. We got Ryan Marone back, an ACC Pitcher of the Year candidate. I have him as an All-American. I think he's been overlooked on several All-American publications. Heath Andrews coming back in the Saturday role, and then Jacob Duden, the star reliever, finally making that move into a starting role. We know he's got one of the most devastating sliders in the country. And then redshirt freshman Caden Morris. I think I have him listed as a sophomore. I think the website has him listed as a sophomore. He hasn't used any years of eligibility. That's all I know. He could potentially be a midweek guy. You got Anderson Nance, who I think will be a starter next year, similar the Jacob Duden path. He'll be your ace alongside Cooper Consiglio, who can be a long reliever. He could be short reliever. He could be a starter. And then you get two guys that should have been key members of the bullpen last year in Landon Carr and Tristan Potts, but Julian Peasel and Landon Carr both had injuries they dealt with last year. Peisel didn't pitch at all. Carr pitched like an inning or so. Those two guys are going to be key parts. And then, you know, Collins Black coming over from Duke is a big time arm. He's going to be a high leverage arm. And then you've got some guys as well, but they're also high on the freshmen. And you know that the NC State pitching or NC State coaching staff's not afraid to give freshmen opportunities. By the way, Aiden Kitchings is the son of former UVA offensive coordinator Des Kitchings. Just a little fun fact out there for you guys.
Oh, nice.
Former UVA offensive coordinator, huh?
Is he? I
Is
thought
he still the current?
I thought I saw
He was
something.
this past season. So unless they fired him after a record-breaking season, Des Kitchens is still cooking up the offense for us, big dog.
Yeah.
But anyways, I did not know that, so that's a fun fact. Look at that. NC State, UVA unite. But no.
He
In
is
Brazil.
I made him. He is the current offensive coordinator at the University of Virginia. Apologies.
We now know what Monty thinks of Des Kitchens, but anyways, no, and the best part is, Monty, is because of what we've seen from these young arms in the past from NC State, you feel confident that at least one of those 4 key freshman arms you have up on the screen, whether it's Sam Harris, Aiden Kitchens, Luke Hemrick, or Micah Ragusa, like one of them is gonna probably hit this season. Like they're going to be a key piece of whether it's midweek role, maybe it's, bullpen arms in, 6th, 7th inning spots. Like you have the belief, like there's enough established history with this program to know that I don't know who of the 4 is going to be, but I feel confident to say that at least one of them is going to hit. And that's considering what you have with that rotation with Heath Andrews, Jacob Duden, Ryan Marone, like Caden Morris. Like you got to feel good about it. And obviously you have key arms back in the bullpen with Cooper Consiglio and Anderson Nance. So
and Nance, the nice thing about Nance and Consiglio is those are guys that'll go. Those are multi-inning closer type guys.
Yeah. Like NC State could realistically be a team that has weekends where 6 arms throw.
Yeah. Nance and Consiglio can throw 5 innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Like I could see a world where on a Friday night, Ryan Marone goes 6 or 7 and then, Cooper Consiglio closes it out. And then you've got Anderson Nance sitting for, the Saturday behind Heath Andrews. And then you've got an all hands on deck where you can use, I think Jacob Duden's got 5 or 6 in him, maybe even more, right? And has a good outing. And then you would like to think that Nance or Consiglio could get another inning or 2. And again, you've got other arms, and some of these freshmen will probably step up too. I mean, there's reasons to believe this NC State pitching staff from top to bottom is arguably the best, one of the best in the ACC and in the country. And that's, an NC State program that is looking to get back to Omaha. You have to believe that this is a optimistic outlook when you see what you have on the screen.
Yeah, and here's a look at that potential staff. But I'm really excited about the potential there, and I think they're flying under the radar a bit. Like Nick said to start, kind of I was like, man, I'm really excited about this NC State team. He's like, are you? Nick, talk to me about how you're feeling now after we're kind of diving into this pitching staff.
Well, let me clarify that the staff I'm really excited about. It's the offense that I'm going to have a little concern with, but I could rave about this staff all day. First of all, love my guy, Ryan Marone. I am biased about that because I'm friends with his dad and his dad rocks. But no, this staff, I think the only thing that concerns me about the staff is that we had such high hopes for 2025 with Marone and with Duden, and Marone really, really played well last year. My only problem is we saw, hello, Micah. It's just Micah and me now, like good old times. My concern with Duden is, did he figure out like the starting pitching role? Because we saw him start last year in the starting pitching role and did not play well. And then Elliott moved him back into the relief spots and was just like his old self again for the most part. But other than that, man, if everything clicks, like you guys said it, Marone can get you 6 at least. Heath Andrews can get you 6. Duden, I think, can hopefully get you 5. And then Anderson Nance and Consiglio, like these guys have had huge outings before last year. Like Anderson Nance had a huge breakout season last season. I forgot what game it was, but he was just reeling and dealing where he kind of put his name on the map for NC State pitching. So this staff, it excites me. It reminds me of last year. I just hope that it kind of just does live up to the hype. And if it does, man, it's a top 3 staff in the ACC.
I mean, and again, we're talking a lot about Nance and Consiglio, but Black and Peisel and Carr and Potts and Garino are all really good arms and underrated arms.
Yeah, it looks refreshing, like these new names, because I think a lot of State fans like myself were kind of holding on to the old names that were on the 24 squad that made the World Series, like Derek Smith and others, and we never really saw them pitch in 2025, whether they were hurt or something else. These new names do excite me a lot.
Absolutely. Speaking of the lineup now, where this is where some of the question marks are, but I'd argue I think that it's actually a deeper lineup than you had last year with a lot more power. Landfear returns. He was in the transfer portal, pulled it back. You've got two talented, high upside guys behind him in Preston Bond and Vincent DiCarlo. At first base, Chris McHugh and Dalton Bargo. Second base, Luke Nixon's back. Mikey Ryan back there. Brandon Novy can play anywhere on the left side. Sherman Johnson, Wyatt Pfeiffer. And in the outfield, Rhett Johnson is set to start in left field, I believe, over some guys like Andrew Wiggins and Devin Mitchell. So when you take a look at what their bench could be, you've got someone like Wyatt Pfeiffer on the bench who, big time, a starter, sorry for all the stuttering there, stumbling, but a starter at JMU. You got Brandon Novy on the bench who was, showed a lot of upside last season. Andrew Wiggins and Devin Mitchell are sitting on that bench. It's a lot deeper of a team than it felt like maybe last year. Micah, do you want to point somebody out as we talk about this lineup?
Yeah. I think for me, a name we haven't really talked about, and that's not because, there's so much talent on this roster. Sherman Johnson's a dude. His stuff at what he put up at McLennan, he was a DBU to McLennan. For those that don't know, he started at DBU, went over to McLennan. His dad, by the way, Baltimore Orioles coach. Fun fact for y'all. Also Sherman Johnson. But I remember when you sent us your little wonderful spreadsheet that you made, Monty, a couple weeks ago. As soon as I saw Sherman Johnson, I don't know how I missed him when I was doing just my initial research. I have some pretty good connections over McLennan. McLennan's down in Waco, or up in Waco, I guess, technically a couple hours from me here. And that's where the Baylor head coach came from. And so, for me, I've got some ties over there now. And I was like, tell me about him. And all I heard was how good this kid is, how much raw talent he has. Obviously, high baseball IQ coming from a family where, again, his dad's a coach in the major leagues. This is an a group, a kid that, you talk about some of these, again, like Drew Lanphier has his name, Chris McHugh, Luke Nixon, and Mikey Ryan comes in as one of the more highly touted, recruits out of high school and obviously coming over from LSU. Sherman Johnson's maybe getting tucked away a little bit in this infield, and the kid's a stud. And I enjoyed kind of seeing what his, I watched some of his JUCO highlights, and if he can replicate what he was doing at McLennan, one of the best JUCOs in the country, goodness gracious, that's going to be a really good piece to have at third for the Wolfpack.
You can tell when Nick talks, Mike is looking at his phone.
Why?
Because you mentioned we hadn't talked about this guy. Nick did highlight him.
Oh, did he? I'm so sorry, Nick. For what it's worth, Monty, I was also a little bit worried about getting you set up. So I've been kind of messing around with some stuff. I was actually messing around with the slides in case you went away because you disappeared for a little while there. So before you come at me for being on my phone, I was actually looking at the NC State preview slides that I was potentially going to have to drop because Monty's got internet issues tonight.
But no, shout out to Micah for, highlighting Sherman Johnson again and providing some more, input.
Sorry, Nick. I don't mean to not listen when you talk. It's kind of on brand at this point, but I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to talk about Ty Head or somebody we haven't talked about, and then you went Sherman Johnson. I was like, oh, awkward.
Did Nick mention that his dad coached for the Orioles? Probably not. So.
I was going to say something, but I was just going to let you riff. So.
I can't take you seriously, Nick, when you wear your hat like that. I'm sorry.
It's literally on correctly. It's the headband is making it look like it's not all the way on.
Wear the headband. Go all in. Anyways, let's get back on track. Sorry.
By the way, shout out Chris McHugh. Hit 365 last year with 19 extra base hits. Battle a hand injury down the stretch. He's somebody who could be playing in left field as well. Rhett Johnson looks like he could be a top of the order bat. But Ty Head, by the way, sophomore eligible draft piece. So this may be the last year you guys get to see him roam in center field. You expect a big jump from somebody who had a really good freshman year. Braden Frosman, we know what he did, the 3 home runs against Clemson. But Nick, aside from Sherman Johnson, is there somebody you'd like to highlight and talk about?
I mean, a guy that's coming back that I don't think any of us have mentioned yet is Luke Nixon. I mean, this kid has been with the program. This is his 3rd year. His brother transferred after the Omaha season. Obviously, son of Trot Nixon, famous Red Sox baseball player. But yeah, Luke, I think that veteran presence is going to be huge. I think a 3rd year under his belt is going to be huge. This guy, obviously, he had a lot of clutch ABs last season. And if he could remain clutch and if he could bump up the power a little bit, we got ourselves a really, really good second baseman in the ACC, like potential top 5 ACC second baseman. I mean, just the experience alone is huge, and his clutchness was huge last season. That's one of the bigger things that sticks out in my head of last season was how clutch Luke Nixon was.
Absolutely. And looking at this potential batting order, this one is one that I didn't just make up. This is actually pretty much the one they used in one of the scrimmages in the Fredericksburg scrimmage, I believe. So this is pretty much what they had. I like it. Maybe I'm surprised Nixon in the 9 and Rhett Johnson in the leadoff spot. Maybe I'd flip those guys, but Clint Chrysler and Elliot Avent know a little bit more than I do. But I'm excited about this team, and look at that depth on the bench: Novi, Wiggins, Mitchell, Bond, Pfeiffer, all guys that have high ability, and it just feels like a deeper, longer lineup.
Yeah.
The picture of Chris McHugh just has me geeking. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
of all the photos you could have used of him, that's the one we decided. I love that.
What's even better is that was during that was up in Wareham during the Cape Cod League. So
I'm going to say that he's not wearing. I mean, he's wearing the red Santa, but he's wearing blue, and there's a blue backdrop. So he's clearly not hitting in Raleigh at the bare minimum.
He's in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's probably hot as hell. And he's wearing that Santa. I saw that on Instagram. I was like, I gotta put that as the
that's got to be.
We need to ask him. We need to ask him why he was wearing that.
They probably did a Christmas in July thing. But Monty, I need your memes are hopefully still going to make a 2026 appearance, and I just want to make an early candidate for anytime he delivers. I want this photo just posted.
Just posted. Santa.
And just says Santa McHugh has delivered again.
There you go. But yeah, no, excited about that. But I mean, look at the power in with McHugh and Bargo right there in the middle with Frosman, Ryan, Sherman Johnson batting 7th. And if he's exactly what we think he's going to be, he's not going to be batting 7th for long. So really exciting. I think offense here. And I think it's actually a deeper lineup than it was last year. Let's take a look at the schedule here. They go to Puerto Rico to start things off. They've got a home opener not a home opener. What am I talking about? Their next big matchup midweek against Coastal Carolina. Then they got Georgia Tech on the road. Duke, East Carolina a couple times, Wake Forest on the road, Virginia Tech on the road. And then they finish up. They got Miami and UNC sandwiched around Stanford. On the road. So it's going to be an interesting stretch for them. Micah, you are our schedule analyzer. What are your thoughts here?
I don't mean to be the person that says you have to do something to have a good season, but goodness gracious, does it not feel like NC State needs to start the season 8-0 when they host Coastal in that midweek? I mean, Washington is the only team I look at that actually should pose a threat to this NC State team.
If they were 7-1, I wouldn't think it's the end of the world.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I'm not saying sky's falling at even 6-2, but
Yeah.
I mean, the expectation really should be 8-0.
Oh, yeah.
Going into that game,
the fan base is expecting.
And I mean, I don't want to be unrealistic, but I mean, it feels like Monty. If I said they have 5 losses or undefeated at Florida when they go to Tallahassee March 20th, what do you think's more likely? 5 losses or undefeated against Florida State, going into Florida State? I would say undefeated.
Undefeated, yeah.
No disrespect to Boston College, but we think this NC State team is capable of winning a national title. At least I do, if all things hit. So yeah, this is a schedule that early on doesn't pose a ton of threats, but goodness gracious, does the back half get feisty?
I also laughing the non-conference game that I should have highlighted was Liberty. That's a tough. I like what Liberty did in the offseason with the moves they made. I think they're
25 portal class. Yeah, they're a spicy little group in the Conference USA.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team. I didn't even include them on my key opponents list, but obviously I was limited because of the size of the schedule. I couldn't do my normal key ACC key non-com. But yeah, no, it's you're right. The expectation will be to be 8-0. It's not
that stretch from April 14th to May 3rd is rough. Because we know Virginia Tech is going to be a feisty team. That's probably going to be one of those prove me, make the tournament type weekends for them. They're going to need to win that weekend at home. Obviously, going to Nick's neck of the woods in Winston-Salem is never an easy task. That's a winner kind of puts themselves in a good hosting conversation. ECU, obviously, a team that you can never take lightly, and NC State fans, I think, hate maybe more than most teams. I mean, that's a really tough stretch right there. And I mean, I don't even want to sleep on Duke. I mean, Duke by then, maybe has some things figured out. We've obviously, we'll talk Notre Dame tomorrow, but Monty, you're high on Notre Dame, so that's not going to be an easy series there at home. I mean, the once you get to that Boston College opening weekend and really UNCW, then it gets rolling. Then you really I hope you have it figured out, NC State, because if not, you don't want your first ACC weekends to be, your first 2 ACC road weekends at the bare minimum are Florida State and Georgia Tech. Those are two teams you don't want to try to figure it out against.
Yeah. By the way, did they get swept in 2024 by Boston College?
I think so.
23. They lost 2 of 3 at Boston.
But that would have been the BC tournament team. So. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think it was, though. Yeah, the tournament team.
Anyway.
Because I don't think State played BC last year.
All right, so what are your thoughts on the schedule, Nick?
I mean, this looks like a prototypical, NC State schedule where it's a hot start. I remember in 2019, they started off 19-0 or 21-0. Even in 2023, where they missed the tournament, they started 13-0, and it's just because they do put themselves at a lighter schedule to start off the season. State has never been a team to challenge themselves early on. You can look back at past schedules. It's never been a thing until you get to the midweeks. Once you start playing the midweeks and then ACC play UNCW, ECU, Campbell, Coastal, they're all going to be really good midweek teams that State usually takes pretty seriously. So yeah, I mean, I think Micah posed a great question. I could see this team, they've done in the past, be one of the last remaining teams undefeated in the country. And then once they get to ACC play, it's okay, maybe they come back down to earth. But yeah, I mean, I think they're playing a lot of really. I don't really see a middle team in this schedule where it's a flip of a coin. Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Wake, Carolina are all teams that if you're a State fan, watch out. But then when you look at BC, Duke, Virginia Tech, Stanford, hopefully State fans expect 2 out of 3 at least. So it's a very which way you're going to go. You're going to go extreme one way or extreme the other way in this ACC schedule.
Absolutely. It's exciting to see. But let's talk about NC State and where they probably finish the season. Nick, let's start with you, big guy.
Well, dang it, Monty, you did it again. I wasn't high on this team, and now I feel pretty good about it.
You also got to remember, I'm optimistic on literally every team.
I know.
Monty,
you're the wisest man in college
Nick, I'm going to try to save you here. Okay. I don't know if you remember, this time last year, I was down on Virginia, and Monty convinced me to be all in on Virginia. And then they ended up missing the NCAA tournament. And my gut feeling, unfortunately, was right. I'm not saying doubt your path, because I am also a firm believer that I'll jump in front of you. I think this is a super regional team. Omaha, obviously, caliber. I
was going to say
super regional is my expectation for this team. That said, trust your gut. Don't listen to Monty, because Monty will lead you astray, because he did it to me last year.
At the time, I gave you the best opinion I could give you.
You made me believe.
And it's not my fault that they didn't hold up their end of the bargain, okay?
And it's not like Monty was the only one saying Virginia was going to be good. They were
preseason number 2.
There was a lot of
your boys in College Station were number 1, and they also let you down too.
Micah's negativity did not come from a logical place.
That's also very valid.
But Micah's right. I think this could be a super regional team. Hopefully makes Omaha if things bounce their way. I think the lineup is a little bit better than it was last year. You got some guys coming back with a lot of experience. I think the problem last year, like I said in the beginning of this episode, was last year's lineup didn't really have like an identity. You just kind of like hope and pray that they could pull out some games. And they started to, but after that Clemson sweep, they really fell off, man. Like there wasn't really like a gleam of hope going into the postseason. Like, sure, you split with UNC, but one of those games was canceled. You know, you were kind of riding on that a little bit towards the end. I love this pitching staff a lot. I really like the lineup. It looks a lot better than last year. You're not kind of hoping and praying. So super regional, I could see this team. I could see this team hosting as well.
Yeah, I want to give another plug real quick to the Diamond Report again. Get your copy. But Monty, your like headline piece when you do your deep dive analysis of NC State, I thought was a really perfect way of summarizing how I felt going into learning more about NC State and how you can look at 2026, right? Last year, I'm going to read directly. NC State struggled with inconsistency in 2025, but leaned on strong pitching to earn the number 2 seed in the Auburn Regional before running out of gas. Despite featuring one of the ACC's better rotations, the Wolfpack have flown under the radar this offseason while quietly improving their roster. I think it nails it. Like that is like you nailed it with that line. Like last year was the inconsistency that, I mean, we knew what they were like when NC State was on, that was a national championship caliber team. But the problem was we also got stinky NC State. And then obviously like I agree with you, Monty. I was kind of like, I don't know what to like. I had them in my way too early Omaha 8 at the end of the season, but then like all the Alex Sosa stuff really started to drop, and like it just kind of made me get a little bit scared, right? Like, oh, they're losing a lot. Like they might not be able to replicate what they did. And obviously that because of what happened in 2025 where they were inconsistent, what to expect. And then you kind of look at what the additions they brought in. And again, like we talked about, guys that necessarily didn't play at LSU, but they were trying to get him in the lineup for a reason. He's capable with Mikey Ryan. Like this is a team that is quietly got, I would argue, better. And at least the bare minimum, replace what they needed to replace. And obviously we expect another steps forward from this team. So really great little headliner there from you, Monty. Again, get your Diamond Report, support our dear friend Monty here in his hard work. But that was I thought that nailed it really well. And the summary of kind of how I felt too, kind of looking at 2026 for NC State.
And you know what's always consistent? Skyline Chili.
No free ads.
just to throw that in there. A segue, but that's going to do it for us. I've broken Micah both to start the show and end the show with Skyline.
Wait. I'm curious, Monty. What do you think? Where does State end up?
I'm with you guys. I think they're a super regional caliber team. They're regional host upside, Omaha upside, national championship upside. So I'm with you guys. But we'll be back tomorrow with Notre Dame. But until then, it just means less.
Wolf.
Pack.